I know that you have been hearing this so many times that you shouldn't care about what other people think about you. But what if I told you that their opinion of you is built on the shortcomings that their brain is making and not really reflecting who you actually are? I want to show you two psychological concepts that completely change how I think about being judged. And by the end of this video, I hope you not only care less about what other people think about you, but you also become kinder in the way that you see others around you, because this bias concept doesn't only affect them, it affects all of us. Welcome to my channel. My name is Claudia and I'm your big sister, and in this space we are changing our mindset, we are reaching our goals, we're becoming better each day. And if this is something that you want to be part of, don't forget to subscribe me for more. Now let's get into the video. The first part is that your brain loves shortcuts. Our brain processes thousands of pieces of information every second, and if we analyze every situation in detail, we probably never make a decision. So instead, your brain goes ahead and uses their mental shortcuts. Most of the time, they're incredibly useful. They help us to react quickly, but sometimes these shortcuts can lead us to completely wrong conclusions. And one of the bigger examples is something called fundamental attribution error. The fundamental attribution error is our tendency to explain other people's behavior by blaming their personality instead of focusing on their circumstances. So let me explain. Let's imagine someone cut in front of you while you were driving. Your first thought probably isn't maybe they are rushing to the hospital, but it's more likely to be, whoa, they're rude. Or imagine someone arrives late at a meeting. We often think, oh, this person is very irresponsible, instead of thinking, oh, okay, maybe something happened that made them to arrive late. And here is where it gets interesting, because when we do it, we think completely different. For us, when we are late, is because of traffic. There was a terrible traffic that was the reason why we became late. When we forget something, it's because we are overwhelmed. When we snap at someone, it's because we've had a stressful day. For ourselves, we see the circumstances. For everyone else, they see your character, and that is the error. And humanly speaking, that's completely normal, because we don't know everyone's deepest business, neither what they're going through on a daily basis. However, it leaves a lot of room for mistakes, and once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. Now you might be asking, okay Claudia, but why does this matter so much? Think of this on the opposite direction. If people naturally judge your actions instead of your circumstances, how many opinions about you are actually accurate? Probably fewer than you think. Someone sees that you are looking serious one day and they decide that you are actually unfriendly. Someone hears you say no once and they automatically think that you're being selfish. Someone catches you at your most exhausting day and they will start thinking that you are lazy, but they don't know what has happened before they met you. The anxiety that you have been carrying, the lack of sleep, the difficult week, they created an entire story about your character using one tiny moment. And the scariest part is that they actually think that the story that they have created about you is true. Which actually brings us to another concept, which is called the blind spot bias. This is our tendency to believe that we are less biased than everyone else. In other words, they really think that they see the world objectively, but they don't. Research constantly show that almost everyone believes they're more rational and fair than an average person, which ironically, believing that you are objective is often proof that you are not, because everyone has a biased opinion. Every single one of us, our upbringings, our experiences, our fears, our culture, even people around us, everything influences how you interpret reality. So when someone forms an opinion about you, they're not simply seeing you, they are seeing you through the lenses of everything they have ever experienced. And that's why two people can meet the exact same person and walk away with completely different impressions of that same person, and sometimes is without seeing the full picture. And I have an example of this. I used to work in a restaurant where there was an Italian person that used to be very serious on her work. She wouldn't speak to everyone, she would solely focus on her work, and I'm sure that we experience one of these people at least once in our life. Everyone around, our colleagues, used to say that she was rude, that she was not nice, that she was not friendly, and they used to hate working with her. And when I had my first experience with her, I understood that this view was actually incorrect. She was an amazing person, she was a family person, she used to love her work and also love her husband, but she very much respected her workplace, and I understood viewed that she really wanted to give her best at her work, that she didn't really enjoy to work with lazy people or people that didn't really value her work or people that were very messy, which was majority of our team. And that was the main reason why her face and sometimes her action demonstrated that she was rude. But in reality, it was not that she was rude, it's just that her purpose at work was completely different from everyone else's. They allowed that little moment to determine who she was without fully understanding her character and her personality and who she is as a person. And this is what normally happens. We judge the circumstance, we don't judge who the person actually is. Now, this realization is actually incredibly freeing because it means you can stop chasing something impossible. We all have to understand that you cannot control how another person's brain interprets who you are. You can be kind and someone will still think that you are fake. You can be confident and someone will call you intimidating. You can be the type of person that tries to please everyone and there's someone that will dislike you simply because you remind them of someone else. This all is very much for us to understand that that's not really about you. It's about the story the brain is creating about you. The healthiest goal isn't making everyone understand you, but is becoming someone who values don't depend on everyone understanding you. This is one of the things that challenged me the most because this isn't just about how people judge us, it's about how we judge other people too. If someone ignores your message, instead of feeling, oh, they don't care about me, maybe they actually overwhelmed. If someone seems distant, maybe they're actually grieving. Maybe if someone is impatient with you, maybe they had the hardest week of their life. Of course, sometimes people really are rude and we're not discrediting that. Sometimes people are very selfish. And of course, with this, it doesn't mean that we excuse harmful behavior, but it does remind us to not assume we know the whole story for one moment. One action rarely tells you who someone truly is. Patterns tell you much more than isolated moments. Remember that. And even then, we still don't know everything. Sometimes giving people a little bit of a benefit of the doubt instead of immediately judging creates a far more healthy relationship. So the next time you find yourself worrying about what someone thinks about you, remember this: their opinion is filtered to their mental shortcuts, their own experience, their own insecurities, and biases they probably don't even realize they have. That doesn't mean every opinion should be ignored, because constructive feedback from people who know you well can help you grow. But random judgment, those usually tell you far more about the observer than the person being observed. And maybe the greatest lesson from all of this, it's simply to care less about being judged. It's to become someone who judges more carefully, because every person you meet is living a life you never fully see. So before assuming you know who someone is, you might only be seeing one frame of a bigger story. If this video gave you a new perspective, let me know in the comments. What's one moment where you realize you had completely misjudged someone, or where someone completely misunderstood you? Thank you very much for watching until now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.